Okay, we'll call the public hearing to order. Public hearing for Bylaw 30, Land Use Bylaw Amendment, Redesignation Heritage Hills. Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, so again, good evening, Mayor, members of Council. Tonight I am before you to present a Land Use Bylaw Amendment, that's Bylaw 30, 2019, within the Community of Heritage Hills for its required public hearing. So this map is just showing the Community of Heritage Hills. You can see Highway 1A along the south, Horse Creek Road along the west, Township Road 262 to the north. And then the subject parcel is outlined in the black box. So the approximately 20-acre parcel is located in the north central portion of the community. To date, this parcel has been owned by a separate landowner from the developing portions of Heritage Hills and has not moved forward with development, and instead been developed around with the existing phases of Heritage Hills. The development of this parcel would complete a large portion of the Heritage Hills community, completing the Heritage Boulevard connection through, connecting the east and west sides of the community, as well as allowing servicing and pathway connections to be established between the two sides as well. This slide is showing the existing land uses that were approved in Heritage Hills. They were approved in 2016, shortly following the adoption of the area structure plan and the neighborhood plan. On the subject parcel, you'll notice the brown zoning up in the north end. That is RM, or High Density Multi-Unit Dwelling District. R2 is the rest of the yellow. That is the single and two dwelling district for the remainder. And then some PS, or public service, that you can see in the green along the west and south boundaries of the parcel. So this map is taken from the 2016 neighborhood plan. It is the key elements of the neighborhood plan. And specifically, I just wanted to note that the brown parcel there and what the neighborhood plan had to say about it specifically. It identified that northern RM parcel as a medium density townhouse site that is strategically located near the Central Park and off of a collector roadway. The townhome area was given the RM zoning because a condo-style townhome product was originally intended by that current owner. A condo-style townhome product falls under the dwellings group use in the land use bylaw, and that is listed in the RM district. This map is showing the proposed land use amendment. So the majority of the parcel is to remain as it was intended under the existing land uses, with the mix of single and semi-detached homes located in the south central portion of the parcel under that existing R2 zoning. So everything shown in white is currently zoned as R2 and is proposed to remain as such moving forward. The largest area of change, although not entirely significant in scale, is the proposed change in the northern portion of the parcel. So rather than develop a condo-style townhouse site, as was originally proposed, the applicant, so this is a new potential purchaser of the property, would prefer to develop fee-simple, street-oriented townhome product. Although the housing style is not proposed to change, condo townhomes, as I had mentioned, fall under the dwellings group use in the RM zoning, and street-oriented townhomes are a use listed in the R3 zoning, so thus requiring the land use change. In addition, there are minor changes being proposed to the west and southern portions of the parcel in order to clean up some property lines and lotting for the future development. In 2018, this parcel and the adjacent parcels to both the east and west were part of a land swap subdivision that changed the east and west property edges of the property to allow this and the adjacent landowner to complete blocks of development within their parcels. So specifically, this strip here with block 50 written on it was originally part of this 20-acre parcel. During this land swap subdivision, it has now moved over under the ownership of this landowner, and consequently, this property line used to be a straight line going down, and these little jut-out parcels that were originally part of the neighboring property have now become part of the 20-acre parcel. So this was strictly done just to clean up the lotting and allow the lots to be developed under one developer or the other. So the portion of the application is proposing to make minor changes between public service and R2 to make that lotting work. Despite these changes, the parcel is still dedicating its 10% of municipal reserve under the public service zoning. And it is also still allowing for the parks and provisions the parks and pathways as per the provisions in the neighborhood plan. The neighborhood plan is the higher level guiding document, did propose a density of approximately 184 units on this 20-acre parcel. Now that the parcel has been lotted out, and with the proposed land use amendments, the density is proposed to be closer to 164 units, thus a 20-unit reduction from what was proposed in the neighborhood plan. Likely a big part of this is the condo-style townhomes would have likely resulted in more units just because of the lotting and how they can configure the condo buildings into different configurations and not have to follow street alignment. As well, condos, as the town doesn't take over condominium properties or the roads within them, they don't actually have to develop to our road standards. So typically condo-style developments do have narrower roads than what fee simple properties in town do, or any properties that have to meet the road standards of the town. So because this is being changed now to street-oriented townhomes, this means that the development will have to build to the town's road standards, and the wider roads mean less units would also be built in the condo-style development as a fee simple parcel. In regards to circulation comments, no concerns were received from other town departments or any of the necessary referral agencies. So for example, Alberta Transportation, the 3 school divisions, and the utility companies. A mixture of responses were received from area residents. One resident was concerned that additional pathway connections beyond the ones in the approved neighborhood plan were not being provided. This was specific to this portion of the community down here and was not actually specifically related to the proposed land use amendment. 2 other residents from the northern portion of Heritage Hills, up in this location here, contacted the town as they had concerns regarding information that had been provided to them prior to them purchasing their homes. They were informed by their builder back in 2018 that the area behind them would be single and semi-detached homes. This was shown to them on a map dated 2013. The area, however, has been planned for townhomes since the 2016 adoption of the neighborhood plan. Planning Services has since met with that adjacent developer and discussed the issue. They were then following up with the builders and the sales centers in the area to ensure that proper communication and correct information is being distributed to potential purchasers. Some additional residents called in to ask questions about the proposed amendment and future development. Once the development was explained to them and they had a chance to see the neighborhood plan, they were understanding of the development moving forward. Administration also received a letter and several phone calls indicating support for the development moving forward. These residents supported the parcel being developed and providing the desired connections through the community and finally completing this portion of the community. Some adjacent landowners also noted support for the development as the subject parcel has become home to moles, voles, and badgers. And that was more kind of directed to the southern end of the parcel. And many of those pests, I suppose, are moving into the adjacent residential yards to the south. So they actually look forward to this moving forward to hopefully take care of that problem in their own yards. So as you can see, most of the comments received did not pertain directly to the proposed land use amendment and the change from condo to fee simple townhomes. Instead, they were more related to the overall development of the parcel. The application was also presented to the Cochrane Planning Commission for their comments. CPC was generally supportive of the application due to the requirement of meeting the town's road standards and therefore likely wider roads than a condo development would include. And they were also supportive of reduced density in the area. They did note ongoing concerns with parking and traffic flow in the area. And they did support administration meeting with the developers monthly, and as part of that, discussing the need to ensure that misinformation is not being provided to potential purchasers, and that accurate information is being disseminated to the area builders. CPC also noted that they would prefer to see the connector road into this parcel located here up to 262 being completed concurrently with the development to help with traffic flow as construction and development occurs. This slide is from the neighborhood plan and shows the pedestrian access map, including the pathway connections within the community and within the specific parcel as well. So right now, the regional pathway is installed in this short location here, but then essentially dead ends at this corner. Area residents have created a dirt path through the 20-acre private property to connect up. However, through the completion of the community with this development that you see on before you, the formalized pathway system would continue and would actually connect then through into the tot lot and then through into the central main park as well. This development, as I had mentioned, will also extend Heritage Boulevard and the utility servicing through the parcel, thus completing the community as per the approved neighborhood plan. These are just a few site photos of the property, just for interest's sake, I suppose. This is from the area to the east of the proposed parcel, looking over the proposed parcel to the west. Just some of the outbuildings and stuff on the site. And then this is from kind of these homes looking out onto the property as it exists now. So with that, administration does recommend that council does receive and consider all comments presented during the public hearing for bylaw 30, 2019.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. Council, any questions of administration? None? I've got a couple.
Okay.
You addressed most of them, but and most of my questions were in regards to what the residents were writing in or calling us about. So the general change, and I'm just summing up what you've said. Correct me if I'm wrong. The general change to the lower half remains as was always the plan. The change to the top half is to go from condo to fee simple.
Yes, through the
Yes.
chair, that is correct.
And then, so what that means to the common person on the ground walking by is that the general appearance would be the same, just the land structure is different behind the scenes.
Through the chair, yes, the housing style would be exactly the same as what is currently approved for now. It just would not be in a condo style development, it would be street oriented instead.
Right, understood. So, and then a little bit less density, therefore hopefully more parking. Okay. That was that. So the style's the same. The one resident wrote in about the public service lands on the southeast side.
Yeah.
Just go over that one again, please.
So I can show you some slides about where that was headed. Okay, so where's a better map? So again, we are looking specifically at this area here. So this is where I said that the formalized pathway basically ends right here.
Yep.
This is the dirt pathway that residents have created at this point. After land use amendments are approved, we generally ask the applicants to provide us with CAD data to show us so that we can upload into our GIS layer on our town map. So this, years ago, was the CAD data that we had received, and there was an error in it. So this is that public service that we see now. This is where that pathway comes up and will continue through. This line should have been the line that ended the green public service. However, there was an error made in that data, and it showed this as being public service as well. However, that was not part of the land use bylaw, or the land use district amendment. It was not part of the neighborhood plan. That was never intended for. The problem was when the applicant for this file originally created their map, they had used this old CAD data that had this error on it. So it did show in the original map created that this was changing from the green public service to R2, but that was never in fact actually the case. It already was zoned as R2 as per the town's land use bylaw map.
Okay.
So there was just a bit of an error that happened, and so I've sorted that out with that resident since this time.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Wilson?
Timing question. I thought the Cochrane Planning Commission's concern about it tying up with Township 262 to the north was interesting. Is there any change between the original proposed and now when the road gets connected, or was it originally proposed to connect to 262 originally?
So through the chair, even through the neighborhood plan, there always was the connection to 262 in that location. I think Cochrane Planning Commission just wanted to ensure that it was being built early in the process and not being left to a late phase or anything of that nature.
And could we speak to that quickly then? Do we know the timing on when the road would connect? Is it later in the building process currently?
So through the chair, what I have understood from the applicant is that they will likely move forward with one phase of subdivision, which yes, means it would move forward with that first phase. That obviously could change as they move forward with their marketing and everything else, but that would be, that's the latest I had heard.
Thank you.
Okay. No other questions. Is the applicant here to
They are.
present? Okay. Thank you. Let's hear
Did you
from
want to
them.
present? Here, I can. Do you want a map to speak to or anything?
Just the original one? Or sorry, the new one?
Your proposal?
What's,
That's probably better one. Pointer.
good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Mohammed, and I'm a civil engineer with New Bond Engineering. I'm also the developer for this parcel. So we tried to minimize any changes from the 2016 plan. Just the recent change was the north section. We didn't feel like the previous zoning matched with the integrity of the other neighborhoods. And I know there was an issue as well, as Candice talked about, for the southeast portion of the pathway. However, if development continues with this, the adjacent landowners, which I believe were these 4 homes right here, will have closer access to the parks. They'll get about 250 meters closer access. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilson? Got one question.
Just one question, please. Hi, Mohammed. I'm glad you could come here today to join us. Thank you. I just had a question about the road timing that we were just talking about. Do we know when it would connect up with the 262 as construction goes?
We're just waiting till we're on the subdivision phase to see how but we're planning to do it based on phases. We plan on having 2 phases, so starting from the south and moving up to the north, because there's also an issue with Township Road and how we're going to construct that.
Right. Okay, thank you. I also wanted to point out from a CPC perspective, as we were looking at it, right now there's currently a main Heritage Boulevard road that is disconnected in 2 parts that this conjoins nicely. That's another interesting road note as you look at the connection issues in Heritage, the south part of that picture.
So we plan on having that complete during phase 1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? No? Thank you. We usually go to the speakers list. We notify there's none. Are there any people that want to come to the podium and share their thoughts on the public hearing? Seeing none. Any other questions to follow up with administration? None? Okay. We'll close the hearing. We'll give our technical people 13 seconds to move to the other feed.